This is PsychRockCentral, where psych rock lives on. Today we're going to be going over Aphrodite's Child's 666, The Number of the Beast, released in 1972. Let's just move on with the band. It was originally a Greek pop rock band formed by legendary composer, I'm going to butcher this name so fucking hard, Evangelos Papathanassiou. I rest in peace, Evangelos. He passed away last year in 2022, but I probably butchered that name, so I'm just going to stick to calling him Evangelos from now on. Pivoted to progressive rock tinged with the sound of dark psychedelia in the late 1960s, early 1970s. Funnily enough, they switched over to progressive rock for this album. The recording of this album took 2 years, in which they switched over completely to progressive rock, which kind of defined their sound moving forward. However, relations between the bands strained far enough to cause the band to just completely dissolve in 1972, which gave two of the members an excellent solo career, one of them being Vangelis. Moving on with the music, it's like a dark magic. I know that's kind of wishy-washy, but it's a darker version of Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band. The songs possess heavy biblical satanic overtones, while also creating spellbinding and ferocious psychedelic progressive rock tracks. I think of things like the Four Horsemen, the Lamb, Agency, the Number of the Beast, the Battle of the Locust. These are all like dark versions of tracks you may have found on Sgt. Pepper's or a Jimi Hendrix album, or like King Crimson's first few records. Overall, very ferocious psych rock jams and melodies all across the album. And there's some more avant-garde experimental tracks too, which are of note, like the Infinity Symbol track, Hic et Nunc, The Bowl, All the Seats Were Occupied. Very dark tracks, especially the Infinity Symbol. I can't really give it justice just by describing it here without a script, so stay tuned for my more in-depth review on my blog to check out what I have to say about that track. It's a creative sum of eclectic prog and psychedelic rock music as well. It's a concept album on the Book of Revelation, which, it was very apocalyptic, and the 7 trumpets and the 4 horsemen and all these plagues being brought down upon the earth. But it also, in this album at least, proved Vangelis' brilliant songwriting is as musically diverse as it is ambitious. My favorite track is All the Seats Were Occupied, which is nearly 20 minutes long and summarizes basically the entire album. It consummates this infernal orgy of sound. It's rhythmically diverse. It's got a great backing guitar melody, but it also does something fun in reversing and including snippets of all the other tracks. I noticed during listening there was 7 trumpets, there was the Infinity Symbol track, there was the 4 Horsemen, there was the first track, The System. A lot of more that you can just find on your own after giving the whole album a listen. So I think if you're going to listen to this song, you better have listened to the rest of this album leading up to it, and then All the Seats Are Occupied would just make more sense as a song. But, even ignoring that, this is a fantastic jam, very similar to like the Grateful Dead or Pink Floyd's Saucer Full of Secrets. Excellent track, excellent way to cap off the album. It really consummates this dark, infernal, like revelation story exceptionally well. Closing thoughts, it's a pioneering concept album. Honestly, one of the first concept albums. You had The Who's Tommy, you had that David Bowie record in 1972. So a few concept albums existed, but I don't think none were as fierce or as ambitious or as dark as 666 were at the time. It takes a lot of turns into more avant-garde songwriting and storytelling that make it a highly compelling psychedelic experience, with or without substances, I think. It's a progressive rock album for the occult, for the freaks and the outcasts, and intentionally trying to not be as accessible as possible, 666 finds its niche with flying colors, exceptionally so, with those psychedelic freaks I mentioned earlier. Overall, it is also Vangelis' second wind, where out of the dying ashes of this pop-turned-progressive rock outfit, 666 manages to be the beginning of both Vangelis' most creative musical season from 1973 to 1975, but also his new journey as a visionary all-time classic electronic progressive electronic producer. He's the one that did the Blade Runner soundtrack, after all, so he definitely has a lot of fame in the Western audience. But that's where it started. 666 is where he's got his start from it. Because 666, although it has a band, right, Aphrodite's Child, it's more a Vangelis solo record than anything. It's just Vangelis with an extra band, kind of like Jimi Hendrix with his band, the Jimi Hendrix Experience. It's definitely more of a musical prowess for Vangelis's musical career than it is just Aphrodite's Child as a whole. But this is where he got his start as a visionary producer, and because of that, I think it's noteworthy on its own. I would give it an 8 out of 10. Phenomenal record. Honestly, closer to an 8.5 than an 8 out of 10. But that's going to be it. You can check out PsychRockCentral.ca, my blog, for a more in-depth review, and also my Rate Your Music page, where I just rate and review albums that aren't just related to psychedelic rock. Either way, I want to thank you for watching, and I'll see you guys later. Peace.